Hello, everybody, and welcome to our live review of Venom. Danielle Radford is joining me. Danielle, the embargo is officially up.
We did it.
We can talk about this movie.
Yes.
You saw it for the junket last week.
Yes.
I saw it 45 minutes ago.
And this is spoiler-free, so no worries.
No spoilers. These last 45 minutes waiting to talk about this film have already been agonizing. So I don't know how you did it.
It has been killing me for days.
Let's put it down into a nutshell, and then let's dive deep into it. Long story short, I liked this movie.
Long story short, I loved this hot trash movie.
All right. Good. We liked it for different reasons. So let's go
Yes.
deep down into it. There's one reason and one reason alone that I liked this movie and that I was on board with it, that it kept me engaged, because not everything about this movie works. As a matter of fact, there's some things about this movie that do not work at all.
No.
There's one reason that I am on board with this movie, and that is Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is without him, this movie would not work in any way, shape, or form.
It completely falls apart without Tom Hardy. And I've got, as you know, I did do the junket. I got to interview the cast. I got to interview the director. So there are some things that are going to be coming out on Fandom that we'll get a chance to talk about. But know that Tom Hardy's energy is infectious, and he was able to improv. And again, no spoilers, but some of the scenes in this movie happened the day of set because Tom Hardy saw a set piece or a thing and was like, "Oh, I have to play with that." Yeah. I'm Tom Hardy.
He seems it seems like he's making it up as he goes along, but that's not a bad thing because that's what the character is doing.
Yep.
Like, it seems like he is figuring out what this movie's about as the movie goes. I wrote down some notes in the movie. I was trying to describe Tom Hardy's performance, and I wrote down Rocky meets Beetlejuice meets Danny DeVito's Penguin meets Ben Affleck in that Good Will Hunting 2 sketch from Jane Silent Bob Strike Back, where he goes, "Well, I don't know about them apples, Will. What are we gonna do?"
Oh my God.
That should not work. But I think that is the litmus test for this movie. If his performance works for you, I think this movie is going to work for you.
Yep.
And if his performance does not work for you, oh my God, are you going to hate this movie?
You're going to hate it because it's not just, and a lot of people don't realize this, he is also the voice of Venom, who I didn't realize that. I thought it was Keith David because he sounds just like Keith David.
Yeah.
The chemistry, and to me, this is one of the biggest parts of the movie that I love. The chemistry between Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy is ridiculous.
Yes.
He is very, very good at bouncing off of himself.
He is.
And it's very funny. It's a funny movie.
It is on
purpose. It is an on purpose funny movie.
It is that's the thing. I think that there were some things that I couldn't tell. First of all, you're right. It's very funny. I laughed a lot in this movie, and I laughed with it. I didn't laugh at it. I laughed with it a lot. And there were some things I laughed at. There are some things that are laughable in that sense. But that's what I can't figure out, is the things that I laughed at, I can't figure out if that movie was completely incompetent or completely self-aware and knew exactly what it was doing. And I cannot figure that out. So usually you can tell. There's a very clear dividing line. I could not always tell with this movie.
This is where this is my Danielle disclaimer. I sometimes do this when when I review a broad comedy and I let people know that, hey, like, gross out humor is not my thing. Other things aren't my thing. I have to do a bit of a disclaimer. This is my disclaimer for Venom. I studied theater. I know what makes plots work. I know what makes a good movie work. I am never going to argue that this is a good movie. I am going to say that other movies that I love are Showgirls, Batman and Robin. Love both of those movies. The 90s Mortal Kombat. Love those movies. This movie is hot garbage, and I love it so much, and I can't wait to see it again.
I love that we disagree completely and yet somehow agree on the movie, because I don't think it's hot garbage.
Oh, it's trash. I love it.
I think that it knows what it is. I think that this is an actual self-aware movie, not in the Deadpool sense. I think it knows what it is. I don't know whose idea it was to cast Tom Hardy. If you take him out of that movie and they do the script with somebody else, it is the same forgettable CGI mess that we have shat upon on this channel so many times. When they brought Tom Hardy in, I don't know if they did a rewrite. I don't know if it's just the power of his performance, but it's almost like...
And it's a lot of improv. He brings the Hardy to the movie.
If you were going to ask me what this movie is, I would say it's a dark buddy action comedy that feels like it's also a commentary on superhero movies.
Okay,
and if you're not on board with that, again, you're not going to be on board with the movie.
That is actually what Ruben said, that it has always been a buddy comedy.
Okay, well,
that is the idea.
Mission accomplished, because that's how it felt to me. I will say, for fans of the character Venom,
right,
if you're going in expecting the comic version of, hey, Eddie Brock, tough guy, gets a symbiote, as they, I guess it is now canon in the I don't know, whatever, however you say it. Tough guy Eddie Brock gets
Parasite.
a symbiote and becomes a bully because it corrupts him from the inside. That is not what you're going to get. This is not the Venom. It's not the Venom that comic fans love, and I think that's going to be the movie's greatest strength and also its greatest weakness.
Yeah, this is not Todd McFarlane's Venom,
No.
which I actually think is a plus and not a minus.
We've seen it, though. We've seen the Spider-Man 3 Topher Grace where Eddie Brock was an angry guy, and he got Venom, and he became an angry Venom. And this is not that. This is actually, I liked what they did with Venom because Eddie Brock and Venom are two separate characters in this film. It is a symbiotic relationship because these are two beings who actually do need each other in a weird way.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a spoiler to say that also something that I pop hard for is friendship. And there's just a lot of real good friendship happening in this movie.
Yeah.
And again, it's the buddy cop thing. Like they, there's one and then there's the other, and when they come together, it's beautiful. And the humor is intentional, and there are parts of it that are not.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, from what I've been seeing, some of the reactions online, a lot of people are like, "This is not."
I've seen people pulling out Catwoman and the worst of the worst of the comic book genre,
That's not
which
fair.
I guess I could see how some people would react to that. But I think that's, again, if you wholly reject what Tom Hardy and Ruben Fleischer are doing with the character, I could see where you're just like, this is a garbage fire because I am not gonna invest in any of this. And I understand that. I was on board. I bought into Tom Hardy, and that means that I bought into the movie.
I bought into his accent.
Yeah.
I bought into him and his Venom. And when I spoke with, I think this is all okay for me to say. If you're listening to this, then obviously no spoilers. But I did specifically ask Ruben about the turd on the wind line. And he said it was like, we want people to know that this is not a movie that is taking itself seriously. You are allowed to laugh both with and at this movie.
Yes.
And that was a point that he made. And that reminds me of, I don't know if you ever saw, most people did not, Showgirls had a VIP edition with a really great commentary track that was done, and I have to be fair, done by a fantastic writer in Seattle named David Schmader. And one point that Schmader always has made is that when you look at that movie, Gina Gershon knows exactly what movie she's in. Everyone, but really particularly Tom Hardy, he knows what movie he's in, and he is having the best time.
Yeah, and the turd in the wind line also, in the context of the movie, takes on a different feel for a number of reasons, some of which I liked, some of which I vehemently object to, but that I can't say because we can't go into spoilers. But yeah, this is a great Tom Hardy role that I don't think a lot of people are going to accept as Venom. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of the blowback on this movie, is because this is a very singular thing that they're doing with both characters. And if you walk in wanting that Venom that you know, I see a lot of people being very angry at this film because that's not it. That's not what it's going to be.
And a lot of times and this is something we also, I think, just as comic book fans, something we have always had to struggle with, which is just a true fact. There are some things that work on the page that do not work in movies. That's just true. And sometimes the things that we love wind up getting changed. Now, luckily, I'm sure there are a lot of, rabid Guardians of the Galaxy fans. There weren't as many people who were as connected to that version of the character. And so they were able to have a huge license to be able to change a lot about those characters.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, even though this is not exactly the same 90s Venom, they were able to keep the humor. I don't think that the PG-13 rating hurts them.
I see where they could have gone more extreme with it. I did not feel, and I was very skeptical on it, I did not feel that this movie was significantly neutered because of the direction that they went. And I think that's another part of it, is the marketing, I don't think, has really gotten across the tone of this film and in a meaningful way, considering that you're going with a character that has a Venom of just like, he's a badass symbiote who's gonna walk in, and that's not the approach they're taking with the movie. But when you don't know that from the marketing, I think a lot of people think, well, then how can you do it? The gore, the violence, that's not the point of this movie. It really is the story of those two characters. Let's talk about some things that didn't work.
It's a rom-com. No.
Almost. Riz Ahmed for me did not work in this movie. He seemed to be in the version of Venom that didn't star Tom Hardy. That was the boring version. That was not very interesting to me.
Especially after having met him, I wish that he would have been, and again, no spoils, I wish he would have been let loose to be a little bit more Riz, a little bit more fun.
He seemed very tamped down. He's the guy. He's supposed to be the scenery chewer.
Yeah.
He's the one, not Tom Hardy. He's the one that's supposed to be like really ripping into this role, and it's the opposite way around.
Especially considering that he's very clearly based on someone in the real world.
Yes, there's not even a line to be drawn. It's literally just like they do a find and replace on a script. And that's who that is. Yeah,
that is who that is. And so I guess I wish that we would have been able to get more of that kind of out there energy with him.
Yeah.
I do feel like that was a bit of a waste. The wig work is not good. That's not a spoiler.
The wig work is not great.
The wigs are bad.
Michelle Williams.
Bad wigs.
Michelle Williams is the one character ported over from the awful Catwoman version of this film in the sense that just like her character's non-existent on the page. Almost pointless to be in the film. Left over, I think, from previous drafts of the script. And the movie does not do her many favors, I don't think.
And I do, as a character, she is not as much of the kind of like nagging person that, oh, what are you doing? You can't do that. She does feel like she's trying to like jump in and be part of the fray, or at least feel like she can contribute. And I don't know how much of that was on the paper and how much of that was what Michelle brought to the character.
Yeah.
But it feels like they were trying to make it where it's like, no, this ain't your usual girlfriend. And it's like, oh. Kind of is.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
Kind of is.
I feel bad because I made this prediction once before, and I was unfortunately correct. I won't say what movie, but you can probably figure it out. I think this is a film that is going to be loved passionately and defended passionately. And I think this is a movie that is going to be hated passionately and attacked passionately.
Yep.
And I would hope that the two sides can at least understand each other, because if
it's not DM me.
But if there's people that are going to say it was a hot trash garbage fire and I hated every second of it, there's going to be people saying it was a hot trash like you.
And I loved it.
And you loved it. I think there's going to be people saying like, what was Tom Hardy doing? That's the stupidest performance I've ever seen in a movie.
You want a McNugget, you guys.
I know people that I was in the row with that are on the opposite side of this for me. Tale has already reached the ears in the critic community of just like, it's becoming mythology of like, did you hear who liked Venom? Or did you hear who hated Venom? And this is already becoming a thing. This is a weird movie. This is a unique movie.
It's so weird.
This is not the movie you think it is. It is, you are gonna love it or you're gonna not be on board with it. And I am so bored with the standard now that this movie took a chance. It worked for me. It's not going to work for a lot of people.
I cannot wait to see the reactions this weekend.
Oh, boy. I can, because I feel like, let's be nice. Let's just all agree to be nice. If you hated the movie, I'm going to be nice to you.
Yeah, that's fine.
And if you like the movie, be nice to the people that didn't like it, because this movie is going to be so much fun to talk about and laugh with each other about.
This does not have to be a war.
Yeah.
Like other movies have been a war. This doesn't have to be a war.
I don't think it does either. But let the war commence in the comments section below. Venom comes out this weekend. What did you think of the movie? I'm with Danielle. I can't wait to talk about this movie with people and hear what you think about, because this is a weird-ass, goofy-ass, crazy-ass movie that I'm excited for you to see. Danielle, thank you so much for joining me to talk about this film. Roth Cornett, by the way, we will be, I believe, teaming up to do a spoiler talk with whomever else wants to join us who might have seen the movie later in the week or over the weekend. So we're not done talking about Venom, because there are definitely some very spoilery things to talk about.
Yeah, and I've got a piece up on Fandom Now that kind of hits into the PG-13 rating. There will be other pieces that I do, because I also write words, guys. There will be other pieces that I do for Fandom that will be going up once the movie is released. So keep an eye out for those.
Keep an eye out for Danielle Radford's hard-hitting journalism, Eddie Brock-style journalism on this film.
Hard-hitting journalism.
Oh, come on.
I'm in the trenches.
You're in the trenches. We're on our ivory towers with our free popcorn.
You know what? I got to get that April O'Neil jumpsuit.
We need to make that happen.
We need to make that happen.
I'm Dan Murrell. That's Danielle Radford. Thank you so much for watching our review of Venom, and we will be back, I'm so sure, to talk about this movie so much more in the next few days. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.